What's the one thing you keep avoiding? You know the one. The conversation you won't have, the decision you won't make, the confrontation you keep talking yourself out of. And every single day you don't deal with it, it gets a little bigger in your head. It started small. By now it feels like a giant standing across a valley and you're just one more soldier finding a reason not to walk out there. If you've got a giant like that, this video is for you. Because I want to take the most famous underdog story on earth and ruin it for you in the best possible way. Almost everyone thinks David and Goliath is a story about a brave kid and a lucky shot. It is not. It's a story about what happens in the years nobody filmed, about why some people can walk straight at the thing that terrifies everyone else. And it has almost nothing to do with the moment you're picturing. This is David. And by the end of this, I don't think you'll be afraid of your giant in quite the same way. Welcome to the Ancient Playbook. Ancient words, modern wisdom, real-life results. Let's get into it. Here's the scene. Two armies on two hills, a valley in between, and in that valley stands one enormous man, Goliath. The text gives you the measurements like it wants you to feel them. Somewhere around 9 feet tall, bronze armor weighing as much as a grown man, a spear with a head like an iron bar. And every morning for 40 days, he walks out into the valley and shouts the same thing. Send me your champion. Let's settle this, I dare you. And what does the army of Israel do? Nothing. They freeze. The text says when they heard him, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Every morning the challenge, every morning the silence. 40 days of a whole nation of trained soldiers staring at a problem and doing absolutely nothing about it. Now hold that picture because it's a mirror. This is exactly what an avoided thing does to you. It doesn't attack, it just stands there. It shows up every morning, the same size, the same threat, and the longer you stare at it without moving, the more it owns you. 40 days of staring didn't make Israel braver. It made the giant feel permanent. The thing you refuse to face doesn't get smaller while you wait. It gets squatters' rights in your head. Now watch who walks into this, not a soldier. A teenager named David, the youngest of 8 brothers, so far down the pecking order that his job is watching the sheep while his older brothers go to war. His father sends him to the battle line with a delivery, bread and cheese for his brothers, basically a packed lunch. He's not there to fight, he's there to drop off supplies. And David hears the giant, and while every grown man around him is shaking, this kid's reaction is almost comical. He starts asking questions. Who is this guy? Why is everyone just standing here letting him talk like that? His oldest brother snaps at him. What are you even doing here? Who's watching those few sheep? You can hear the contempt. Go home, kid. The men are handling this. Except the men weren't handling anything. They'd handled nothing for 40 days. Here's the context that unlocks the whole story, and you have to go back 1 chapter to get it. When God chose David, long before this valley, and he told the prophet Samuel something that explains everything. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. The Hebrew word there is lev, sometimes levov. And it doesn't mean feelings the way we use the word. It means the inner person, your will, your mind, what you actually decide and rely on when the pressure's on. So look at the contrast the story is setting up. Saul, the king of Israel, is described as the tallest man in the nation, a head taller than everyone. He looks exactly like the man who should fight Goliath, and he's hiding in his tent. He had the appearance. David had the lev, built in private. And God isn't fooled by the costume. He never has been. The qualification that matters most is the one nobody can see from the outside, so David volunteers. And Saul does what everyone does. He looks at the outside. You're just a boy. This man's been a soldier since before you were born." And David answers with the most important speech in the whole chapter, and it's the part everyone skips. He says, "When I was keeping my father's sheep, a lion came and took a lamb, and I went after it, struck it, and rescued the lamb from its mouth. And when it turned on me, I caught it by its mane and killed it. And I did the same to a bear. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from this Philistine. Do you see what just happened?" The slingshot wasn't beginner's luck. David wasn't a random kid having a magic day. He had been doing dangerous, terrifying, life-or-death things for years. Alone in a field, with no audience, no crowd, no highlight reel. Just a boy, some sheep, and predators that wanted to kill them both. Nobody filmed the lion. Nobody applauded the bear. There was no glory in any of it. It was just the unglamorous, repeated private work of doing his actual job well when no one was watching. So here's the principle, and I want you to write it down. Private preparation creates public courage. David wasn't brave because he was born fearless. He was brave because he'd already survived hard things in the dark. The courage everyone saw in the valley was just the interest he was collecting on the discipline he'd paid in private. And here's the brutal flip side, the one that stings. Most people want the valley without the field. They want the Goliath moment, and they want to skip the lions and the bears. They want the platform without the preparation, the win without the reps. And it doesn't work that way. You do not rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. I want to talk to whoever needs this. Your lions and bears probably don't look heroic. They look like an unglamorous job done well. A skill practiced when no one's checking. A small responsibility handled faithfully for years with zero recognition. And it can feel like it's leading nowhere. It isn't. That field is the training ground. The reps you're putting in right now that nobody sees and nobody claps for. Those are the exact reps that mean you'll be ready in a valley you can't yet see coming. Now there's a small detail here that I think is one of the most freeing things in the entire Bible. Once David's going to fight, Saul tries to help. He puts his own armor on him, the king's armor, a bronze helmet, a coat of mail, the best equipment in the nation. And David takes a few steps in it and says, "I can't go in these. I'm not used to them." And he takes it all off. Think about what he just did. He turned down the king's personal armor, the obvious, sensible, everyone would approve choice, because it wasn't his. It didn't fit the way he was built, and he went back to what he actually knew: a staff, a sling, and 5 smooth stones from the creek. The shepherd's tools, the weapon he'd mastered in the field. You are not meant to win using somebody else's exact method, somebody else's voice, somebody else's playbook. There will always be a Saul standing there insisting that the proven, prestigious, "this is how it's done" approach is the only serious option. And sometimes it just doesn't fit your hand. Take off the armor that isn't yours. Find the sling you've actually practiced with. The thing that feels too simple, too unimpressive, too you. That might be exactly the thing God spent years training you to use. So David walks out, and Goliath is insulted. A boy with a stick. He curses him. And David answers with words that tell you precisely where his confidence came from. 1 Samuel 17, verse 45. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." Now this matters because here's where a lot of modern teaching gets David exactly backwards. There's a whole corner of the culture built on the idea that David's belief created the outcome, that he won because he was so positive, so sure of himself, that he basically willed it into being. Manifest the victory and the victory comes, but read his actual words. David's confidence is not in himself. It's in a name that isn't his. I come in the name of the Lord. His certainty wasn't self-belief pumped up in a mirror. It was reliance on a God he'd already watched come through in a field against a lion and a bear when nobody was there to see it. There's a Hebrew word for that kind of confidence, batak. It means to trust, to lean your weight on something, to rely on it because it has held before. That's the opposite of manifesting. Manifesting points you back at yourself, your belief, your energy, your will bending reality. David pointed past himself entirely. His courage didn't come from how strong he felt. It came from who he was relying on. And that reliance had been earned through real experience, not hyped up in his own head. One of those puts you on the throne of your own life. The other one knows exactly who's actually on the throne, and it isn't you. And honestly, that's stronger. Because self-belief runs out the moment you meet something bigger than yourself. Trust in God doesn't. And now the moment. Watch the verb here because it changes everything. When Goliath moves to attack, David runs, not away, toward. He runs quickly toward the battle line to meet him. 40 days, the whole army stood frozen, staring across the valley, letting the giant grow. And this kid closes the distance at a sprint. One stone, one sling, and the thing that paralyzed a nation for 6 weeks is on the ground. There's a school of thought, one of the most watched voices in the world right now is built on it, that says, voluntarily confront the chaos. Don't wait for the dragon to come to you. Walk toward the thing you're most afraid of on purpose, because what you most need is almost always sitting exactly where you least want to look. And that is this chapter, word for word. The whole trained army walked the other way for 40 days. David walked at it, same valley, same giant. The difference was entirely in the direction a person was willing to move. And notice the order of David's whole life, because it's the order of yours. The field came before the valley, the lion came before the giant. The private reps came before the public win. He could run at Goliath because he'd already run at a lion when no one was watching. By the time the giant showed up, David wasn't actually afraid of giants anymore. The field had already cured him of that. Let me guard this, though, because this story gets turned into a motivational poster and loses its spine. It's not saying you can beat any obstacle if you just believe hard enough. It's not saying every underdog wins, plenty don't, and the Bible is honest about that. It's not saying faith cancels out the need for skill. Look again. David trusted God, and he was genuinely lethally accurate with a sling. Both. The faith didn't replace the practice. Faith is what he did with the practice. And it's not promising you'll drop your giant with one shot. Sometimes the giant takes years. Sometimes you fight the same one more than once. This isn't a guarantee of a quick, clean win. It's a picture of the kind of person who's actually ready to fight when the day comes, and of where that person gets made. So what do you do with David this week? 5 things. First, stop waiting to feel confident. You will be waiting forever. Confidence is the reward for competence, not the requirement for starting. Go build the skill and the confidence will follow at home. Second, respect your lions and bears. Look at the small, unglamorous battles right in front of you. The boring job, the daily discipline, the responsibility nobody notices. And stop despising them. That's the field. That's where the courage gets built. Third, take off the armor that isn't yours. Find the one place you're trying to win with someone else's exact method, and it doesn't fit, and put it down. Go back to the sling you've actually practiced with. Fourth, name your Goliath, then take the first stone. Pick the one avoided thing that's been growing for weeks. Don't try to swing at the whole giant. break it into the smallest possible next action and do that one action in the next 24 hours. And fifth, borrow David's sentence. When the fear spikes, the issue is usually who you're relying on. Practice saying it. I don't come at this in my own strength. Move your weight off your own confidence and onto God. That's bataj. Here's what I want you to carry out of this. The reason that thing feels like a giant is that you've been staring at it from across the valley for 40 days, doing nothing, letting it grow. David didn't have a 40-day stare down. He ran, fast, toward it. And he could do that because of everything that happened before the cameras were ever on him. The lion nobody saw, the bear nobody clapped for. The years of quiet, faithful, unglamorous reps in a field, doing his actual job well when there was no audience and no glory. That's where his courage was forged, not in the valley, in the field. So here's the real question, and it's not how do I get brave enough to face my giant, it's quieter than that. What field are you in right now? What's the lion in front of you this week that nobody else can see? Because the giant doesn't get smaller because you wait. It gets smaller because you've been quietly killing lions where no one was watching until one day you walk out into the valley and realize you're not actually afraid of giants anymore. Private preparation, public courage. Pick up the first stone. If this hit something in you, the full method is in the free starter workbook. Link in the description. Don't just nod at it. Pick one of those 5 steps and actually do it this week. And subscribe, because the next one is about a young king who got handed everything, was offered literally anything he wanted, and asked for the one thing almost nobody would. That's Solomon, and it'll change what you pray for. I'll see you there.